Of course, the man you are seeing is they play the show. The Enugu native doctor that attempted to escape from Lagos after he was accused of ritual killing in Enugu the other time. Before now, people thought that the issue had been swept under the carpet, but I think this is a welcome development, seeing that he's now appearing in court. Of course, information having that he has been remanded in prison custody. And of course, this have a way of rekindling the confidence of the public in the authorities, because this issue is a very serious one that the public have been watching to see how it panned out, how it played out. Of course, the public want to see to the end of this, how the court will conclude it. We understand that actually, no matter the level of evidence, one is innocent until proven otherwise by a court of competent jurisdiction. That is the process of legal procedures in Nigeria. However, it is good that the public is carried along in the process of this prosecution. And again, even based on the fact that even in the southeastern part of the country, there have been so much serious insecurity from different angles, to the extent that at the point the public do not even know the source of the problem. We have seen so much level of killing in the southeastern part of the country. At times, the government will blame it on unknown government. We have seen severally where even the citizens will blame it on perhaps state sponsor. But when things of this nature happen and somebody is arrested, the best thing is to ensure that the public follow and see the prosecution that is going on, like in this case, because if the public follow it and at the end of the day the court makes a pronouncement and the man is made to face whatever comes out of the court, I think that is the way to go as a people, as a society, to have a better society. So I'm saying this particularly because in the southeastern part of the country there are so many instances where people will disappear, and of course tracing their whereabouts becomes a problem. And if in the event of this prosecution this man is found wanting, or rather the court makes a pronouncement and find him guilty, then it will act as a deterrent to others. Because the whole essence of prosecution, the whole essence of law and prosecution is to act as a deterrent to others. In a society where people commit crime, go scot-free with it, or perhaps even a slap on the wrist and out to go, you are encouraging other people to go into crime. But when people commit crime, they are arrested, they are prosecuted, and they are made to face the judgment of the court. Of course, it's a necessary punishment that deters people from committing crime. Because if you look at the south, particularly, if you take a critical look at the southeastern part of the country in recent times, you understand that there have been so much level of insecurity, particularly occasioned by one, essence of Fulani militants. Two, we equally have the one that have to do with Fulani herdsmen. And even the government have not been able to address it. So it becomes difficult to know where the crime is coming from. Now that this man has been isolated and is facing prosecution, the government cannot know how to address other areas. That is why the government should be encouraged and the locals should equally be empowered to ensure that they start going to every nook and cranny to dislodge anyone that is interacting in the forest, in the bush, for us to have a peaceful environment. Even before now, we are seeing a very big accusation, we like call it an allegation, coming from a civil liberty organization, claiming that over 850 locations have bandits hibernating in bushes and forests in the southeastern part of the country. We have equally seen a monarch, of course, from one of the states, I think Imo State to be precise, who raised the alarm that bandits, Fulani herdsmen, are already acquiring massive land in his jurisdiction. But the point here is, I think the best way to go about this level of insecurity, particularly occasioned by Fulani herdsmen, is there should be the governments of all the eastern part of the country, even the south should start enacting anti-open grazing laws to prohibit open grazing. I understand that in the past, the government of Ekiti State did that. The state of course, another state in the middle belt talking about Benue did that. But the problem we have is the inability or the lukewarmness attitude of the authorities, particularly the police, in enforcing such law. So, but however, I think that is the way to go. So that by the time you isolate the insecurity that is coming from the actions of the Fulani herdsmen by way of making a law to prohibit open grazing, then we cannot know the angle we are taking it to. I understand that in Anambra as well, the native doctor, popularly known as Akwache Arake, is already in custody, though the public is not yet privy to the prosecution or rather how the case is going. But I must say that that is another case that the public want to follow and know the proceeding, how it's going. Because what is the setting? If individuals are arrested, people are arrested, and you are seeing the prosecution, people are following it, they have a way of building confidence in the public before, of course, the public will now have confidence in the ability of the authorities to do the right thing or rather to handle these issues. But by the time it's shrouded in secrecy, the public is not carried along, the public is not in the know of what happens. They have a way of making the public lose confidence in the ability of the authorities, of the police and all of them to do justice to all of these issues. So that is why the public is still very much interested to know what is going on with that case of Akwache Arake of Anambra State. Just as we have seen this one that is coming from Enugu, talking about if they play the show, just appeared in court. It's understandable that the court already reminded him, meaning he's going to be in prison custody until the court will make a final pronouncement on his case. However, whichever way it goes, when the court makes a pronouncement, of course, that should be the final. That is why I initially said that in the legal jurisprudence of Nigeria, one is innocent or the proven otherwise by a court of competent jurisdiction. It is irrespective of the level of evidence. But the important thing is, those who are prosecuting him must make sure that they bring forward evidence or other evidences that are good enough to prosecute the case. Because for me, if actually the allegations levied against him were right, such man have no business being in the society, because that is purely the highest level of inhumanity one can perpetrate against his fellow citizen or fellow human being. Because if arresting or taking people hostage is allowing them for ritual purpose, I don't think that such person should have a space to stay in the society. That is why those who are prosecuting are not pronouncing it anyway, are not a law of court. I cannot consume myself into a law of court because I understand that I cannot consume myself into law court. I understand that even when a case is in court, it is prejudice to say that the case will go either this or that way. But the point is, those who are prosecuting must ensure that they hand themselves with sufficient evidence to make sure the court is provided with such evidence to deal with the issue. And going forward, I think the government should equally synergize with the locals to make sure that at every point in time, the society should know what people are doing in their closets, in different places, because I understand that this man in particular have existed in that locality for so long, meaning he may have perpetrated the evil, if actually is found guilty anyway, he may have perpetrated the evil for a very long time. So to that extent, every community should have what it takes to know what people are doing in their closets, particularly when it has to do with different acts, what it has to do with disallowing of people, because it is not healthy that somebody will stay in an environment, perpetrate such crime for years before being observed, before being noticed, or rather before being arrested. Like I said, until proven otherwise, is innocent before the law. However, you understand that it was the attempt to, of course, arrest a girl that spilled the beans. So meaning such acts would have been going on before now, just as we saw in videos that made around that time about some bodies, lively bodies in the soccer way in the compound. But the point is, the public is very much interested in this case and want to see how it panned out. I must say very thank you for trying this setup.